As we all know, the scientific method is a very powerful tool used by scientists and researchers alike to uncover the many mysteries of this world. But did you know you could use that same technique for self-development and personal growth? Well, today's video is all about that. I'm going to teach you how you can use the scientific method to help develop and grow as a person. So let's get into it. The scientific method is a tool used by scientists to basically answer the questions of the world. It is a 7-step process in which a question is posed and then a hypothesis is formed and experiments are conducted to either prove the hypothesis correct or incorrect. And the 7 steps aren't important for this video, but the process as a whole is. The scientific method is used to unveil secrets, and this is a good thing because whether it ends in a success or failure, it's a good thing either way because it's a path of discovery. Each experiment leads closer to an answer or little drops and clues to be left along to get us closer to knowing what we're trying to figure out. So just like anything else, this is a tool, and tools can be transferred in different contexts, but we will get to that later. At the end of the day, this is a path of discovery, and I want you to know that even if it doesn't give you the results that you ultimately want, that's still a good sign, because if it's a failure, we get information from that, and then we can readjust our experiment moving forward and account for different variables. So it's all about getting the puzzle pieces together and seeing the whole picture. And when you're able to do that and piece together certain aspects and see how they all interconnect and intertwine, this is a very powerful skill. You can apply it to different contexts, different problems, and come out with numerous solutions. Sometimes problems have more than one right answer, and even if that's the case, it's up to you to decide how you want to move forward and use that information in your day-to-day life. So some of you may be like, okay, Marquis, that's great, but what does this have to do with self-development? And we're about to get to that now. So the scientific method of trial and error, wins and failures, I want you to apply that same method to your life. I want you to pick a path and go down it. And when I say go down it, I mean fully commit and don't be afraid of failure. Failure is a natural consequence of trying something new, and if you're not winning or losing, you're standing still. And if you're standing still, you're not making any progress whatsoever. So if you pick a path, just know that there's going to be failures and shortcomings and things that, disappoint you, and those disappointments can be painful. But remember, underneath it all is a lesson. I've had to learn this firsthand multiple times, and when you reframe your mind to think that way, it doesn't completely get rid of the pain. Some do sting really, really bad, but it alleviates the sting and pain because it's all in the service of something more. And I think it's very important to make that distinctive shift of recognizing the pain, not ignoring it, but recognizing it for what it is and applying that to all future instances. And when you go down a path, you're going to see certain things that you don't like, and you may figure it out, this may not be for me, but that's completely okay. There's no wasted time in this because all the lessons you've learned, all the pain and tribulations that you've went through, those can be applied to future paths that you go down. Some things may catch your eye on the path, but you aren't ready to use them at this exact moment, and that's fine. But your brain will always remember, and you've learned it, and if it's super important to you, it can be applicable in the future. So I don't ever want you to see failure as, oh, I wasted time or I'm not good enough. These are all micro lessons that are going to culminate into something way greater in the most unexpected and beautiful way possible. So remember to always pick a path and be ready for failure, because if you're not failing and you're not winning, you're standing still, and that's worse than anything else. It's worse than any kind of failure because that means you're staying stagnant and not improving whatsoever. And we're all about growth and self-development and wanting to become that version of ourselves that we want to be and we know we can be. So Just trust yourself and your intuition and know that it will all ultimately pay off. That's why it was important for me to highlight the scientific method, because I wanted to show you that with failed experiments, just like failures in real life, you can readjust and take that information and apply it to the future and get the results you want. Just remember, a failure is just a small clue that you're going to use to apply to your future and get the results you ultimately want. So have some fun with it and see it as an experiment of, okay, this path didn't work, X that out, I know what I did wrong, I know what I did right, let's go down this lane and see what outcome it brings me. And I feel like when you have a little bit of playfulness and openness to it, those painful moments won't sting as hard. I'm not gonna promise that they won't sting, but having some playfulness with it, like I said, may make it a lot easier to digest. And just know that it's all gonna culminate and come together in a way that is so unexpected. And I know you can do it because I've done it for myself, and it's just very exciting to look back on the process and the trials that you went through. And it doesn't make sense in the moment. You can feel really confused and overwhelmed, but once you get to that point, it's just like, aha, like it all makes sense now. And you're gonna be very thankful and enjoy the process and journey having that hindsight. I want to take some time now to really focus on fear specifically, because this can be the biggest killer of growth and creativity within any individual. So, like we know, as was stated before, that failure is a necessary consequence of learning something new or growing. It's inevitably going to happen. You know it's going to happen. But the trap with this is a lot of people try to avoid failure at all costs, and they go out of their way to try to put stipulations and processes in the way to get around failure, which is just not the right way to do it, because it's going to happen. And so when you take that mindset, you either consciously or subconsciously program yourself to not take calculated risks. And this is super dangerous, because some of the greatest people that we know, the people that you look up to, that I look up to, they took calculated risks that paid off for them. Because if you're not wanting to experience failure, you're going to trot down a path that is super safe, it's done before, and leads to no type of individuality or creativity within your work as a creative or professional, or just growing as an individual. And that is a very dangerous trap, because it doesn't make you uniquely who you are. There's no sprinkle of your personality behind it. And remember that failure is an investment in your future. You learn so much from your mistakes, even the big painful ones, and you take that pain and you channel it into something that is meaningful for you. I know you can do it, and I don't want you to ever let the power of fear overtake you and limit your creativity and not take that risk, because that risk that you ultimately can take can be the biggest payoff in your life, and you will be so happy that you ended up doing it. So I just want you to know that it's scary in the beginning. I get it, I've been there, but know that at the end of the day, you can do it, and that big calculated risk may be the thing that sets you apart from everyone else. Well guys, that is all I have for you in today's video. This one was really special for me to make, because fear of failure and taking calculated risks were something that I say I would struggle with when I was younger, and the uncertainty and unease of going down a path and not knowing what the outcome will be was something that was hard for me to grasp at times. But now that I'm older and I've learned a lot more, and I've made my mistakes and I've come back from them and made the progress in areas that I've wanted to, I see it as a necessary step and something that ultimately I know is good for me, whether I like it or not. So if you liked this video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.